Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Bubble. Spirit fingers. Perfect spirit for MLK Day. It's MLK Day today. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the United States.
Yep.
Big holiday here. Probably an even bigger holiday in Germany. Probably. And
I don't think they celebrate.
no, they might. That might be a national holiday here in the States, the United States of America. But I think last year we had an MLK Day show, and I forgot to mention it was MLK Day. So I'm not going to make that same mistake twice.
Oh, yeah. And it's always on Monday.
Always on Monday. It's always on Schnitzel Day. It's National Schnitzel Day today.
Yeah.
Every week. So right before the broadcast, we were talking about seltzer water, or as I call it a lot, I always call it Krummelwasser.
Kribbelwasser?
Krummelwasser, which is like
Krümmel oder Kribbel?
no Krummel.
Oh,
Like breadcrumbs.
my grandmother used to refer to it as Kribbelwasser.
What's a kribbel?
Kribbel is like I'm gonna look it up. Say something else.
Well, Krummelwasser is like baby talk, right? We used to say it all the time as kids, and just in the family was how we call it. Krummelwasser. We just call it all Krummelwasser. Krummelwasser translated means crumb water, like breadcrumb water. It's like water with crumbs in it. But I think in Germany, I've gone to places and stuff, be like a Krummelwasser bit for fun, and they never bat an eye. They're just like, okay, halbe Liter or 200 milliliter or whatever. You know how everything in Germany is with little liters and stuff. But I think there's a lot of real terms, but Sprudelwasser is the more professional term, I think, right?
Sprudelwasser is the professional term. Yeah,
it's the more appropriate term. It's like seltzer water, pretty much.
Sprudelwasser, yeah. Kribbeln is like I just looked it up. Kribbelwasser is in the official dictionary, so that is an actual word. Kribbelwasser, and kribbeln is like tingling. It's like it's like tingle.
Is
so
it like
it's
when
like
you
water
sleep on your arm for an hour and then like your arm?
Yeah, that's kribbelt. Oh, that's kribbelt. Yeah, exactly. Or the feeling of perhaps an ant or a spider walking on your neck. It would be a little tingle, right? Kribbelt. Oh, that's kribbelt.
Can I have a tingle water, please? That if we started
Kribbelwasser, because it does tingle a little bit in your system.
If we get famous enough, we're gonna launch a seltzer brand called Tingle Water. Promise me.
Tingle. Schnitzel Tingle Water, the Schnitzel Boys Tingle
with
Water.
our faces. It seems like launching drinks is like a way to money. Like everyone wants to launch a soda or a drink. Shaq has a drink. I just learned that Logan Paul had his Gatorade knockoff called Prime or something.
Oh boy!
Because all it is putting a couple things in water.
That guy's he's a marketing machine.
Yeah, but so are we. We're the Schnitzel machine. I'm saying it seems like people want to get in that soda-ing, Red Bull, right? My Red Bull boys. It seems like getting into. I think the real struggle isn't the product. That's easy. The real struggle is the market. Right. And like if you have that market, it's like free money because all they do is take water and they put a couple things.
It's very
in it,
cheap.
And
it's very cheap to produce. Yeah.
I mean, it's like Starbucks. They use water from the city. And they have beans, and they're just like flavored water, and they make $1 trillion a year. $7.
We'll take tap water, run it through some
beans.
$8.
That we steal from Guatemala or something.
Put a little syrup, couple pumps of syrup.
Boom. How do we get into that business? We need to get Tingle Water off the ground. We need to figure
I
that
don't
out.
have. I mean, I have no financial problems.
We need to go. We need to go to a but you know the American
more is always better. Yeah.
I was gonna say what's that old phrase? The American business phrase, or just business phrase. How much money do you need? And I think the answer is always like more. So something like that.
I guess so.
That ain't my mentality, but I'm looking over at guys like whatever. I know Joe Rogan. He probably has his own energy drink. I'm like it seems the thing to do. So Schnitzel boys, we need to get into drinks at some point. We need to get some energy drinks going.
Some meat. I guess this would be difficult for you since you don't eat meat. But I mean, meat products would be the obvious racket for the Schnitzel boys.
Yeah, but what kind of margin is that? Like we'd have to have pigs, no, or cows. Water.
But it's actually
water is the way to go.
But that's actually good for people. Like if you're just if you're charging for soda or whatever, we're not gonna sleep well at night.
Well, seltzer,
but protein,
seltzer, Tingle Water, seltzer,
Tingle Water. So is it going to be flavored? Kribbelwasser.
Kribbelwasser, yeah. Well, there was a seltzer. I grew up drinking seltzer every day because I'm German, but for a long time, Americans didn't really. It's not a popular drink. But then, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, there was a seltzer boom. It was just like all of a sudden, there's like 50 different companies doing their own version of
LaCroix started it.
I think LaCroix capitalized on it, but there was stuff before, like Polar and stuff. There's a lot of companies before LaCroix. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm underestimating how.
I don't know. I think LaCroix has been around for a long time, and they are from Indiana. It's not it's like and they just kind of, I don't know. They would just sort of, things just took off. I don't know. I cannot claim to have detailed historical info on the provenance of and how seltzer made it in the U.S. I never enjoyed, like my parents drink a lot of seltzer and they would get it by the case.
Yeah.
Like these case of glass bottles, like 12 per case, and they would just in large numbers. These cases, they were all, you'd have to return it.
Well, that's a German thing. In Germany, like my grandpa, I always go to my grandpa all the time. Next to the grocery store, usually attached to it is like the liquor mart, not liquor mart, like the what's it called, the soda and water
Getränkemarkt,
drink mart, you can buy drinks. Like it's not like, I mean, I guess you could buy it in the aisle, but it's common in Germany if you like some certain drinks, usually like I was gonna say Kumavas, usually seltzer water, or this thing where they carbonize apple, like Apfelschorle.
Oh, Apfelschorle, yeah.
Or like Fanta or something, or even Coke or whatever.
And lots of alcohol too. Lots of beer at the place.
You buy it by the case. It's done in cases, unrefrigerated. You get it by the case, and then you take it home. You usually have 16 or 12 bottles, and when it's done, you go and you exchange it. It's just it's like an open exchange program. And that's just a common way to do it. But the other thing, I don't know, did you experience this? It might just be my grandparents. They never refrigerated anything. Everything was always pretty room temperature. Like they had the cases in the kitchens or in the cellar, and like it was cool, but it was never cold. They didn't do cold.
Yeah, same.
And I don't because
they would consume them at such high volume, like it would just be impossible to refrigerate. Yeah, that's still the case with my parents. Yeah, they have them in their garage, so there's a little bit of they're not like, it's a little below room temperature, but not ice cold. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's supposed to be bad for you, right? Like it's bad for your system if you drink things that are too cold. I don't know.
True, but I love it. But like, there's a difference between drinking room temperature stuff and cold stuff. You can feel it. Room temperature stuff goes down easy. Cold, like you feel it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, because it's like the closer to your body temperature it is, the less of a shock your system gets. And to this day, my parents, who are also in retirement age, they drink all their water lukewarm. They drink it all room temperature. And I'm just not about that. I don't know. I want it cold. I got ice.
You want it cold?
Ice in my stuff. Yeah.
You're an American. Yeah, I don't mind but the beer in Germany, people are usually pretty, unlike England, where it's also the
Right.
beer is
Room
definitely
temperature.
room temperature. In Germany, people are feel stronger about that. They want it to be colder.
Yeah, German fridges are small, and there's only space for the
It's
beer.
only
So everything
space
else has to hang out in the
you gotta
garage.
decide
Butter
either
and stuff. Yeah.
the beer or the Kribbelwasser. It's an easy decision. Obviously,
Yeah,
the
Kielbasa,
Kribbelwasser goes in the basement.
the butter, the milk, all that goes to the garage. The beer goes to the
Butter.
fridge. 'Cause it is
But
easy.
do your parents? This is a source of contention in my family, or used to be anyway. Do your parents refrigerate their butter?
Well, my parents don't consume butter anymore. My parents only do like the stuff from Whole Foods or whatever. It's like canola oil butter.
Oh, like the
That kind
margarine, the
margarina,
margarine.
yeah. And but it's also very health margarine. Back in the day when we had regular butter, I think it was refrigerated, and that would piss me off because it was always rock hard.
Rock hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
my parents never. The butter was always there was a special butter,
Right, we
it
have
was
that too.
in a special ceramic kind of butter thing, and that
Mhm.
was just sitting out. So the butter was room temperature and ready to go. This also, though,
I think that
kind
makes
of
sense, by the way. Is it a
I
bad thing?
agree.
Or
I
yeah.
agree. No, I don't. But here in America, it's basically, like asking somebody to eat salmonella for
Right.
breakfast if you're not. People have like concerns about bacteria. This
Yeah.
also speaks, though, to the fact that people don't heat their houses in the same way
Right.
in Germany as they do in America. There's just a different, here it's like everything is super hot
Hmm.
in the winter. I mean, New York especially, because you can't
Right.
you can't individually regulate your temperature. But in general, people here, houses are warm everywhere. Like everything gets heated. In
Yeah.
Germany, that's not necessarily the case. You heat your living room,
Right.
and that's probably it. You're not going to heat your kitchen.
Well, Germans are
You're
more
not going to
efficient.
you're not going to heat your bedroom,
Well,
because
Germans are smarter and they're better engineers. So they have something called a Kachelofen. And a Kachelofen, this is sort of not everything, but in a German house, the idea is it's built out of stone. And then the German stone walls can either radiate heat or also radiate coolness very naturally. And then they have a Kachelofen in the basement where you burn little wooden pellets. And then that slowly radiates the heat from all the walls in your home and sort of emits heat. And then during the summertime, you don't need it, turn it off. And then your stone walls in the heat emit coolness. So that's why there's also not a lot of air conditioning in Germany either.
Right.
That's just sort of the way they do it. It's not. It's way more efficient, better for energy, but you can't shoot like it's here in the States. You can have these things where you regulate exactly the amount of temperature you want at any given moment.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, now that's more of a thing there too, but
Right.
it certainly didn't used to be. Yeah.
I'm talking more of the old days because a lot of my
Right.
references are from when my parents were kids, which is a long time ago. Which is a long time ago.
I mean, at this point, it's been a while for me too.
But conceptually, that makes more like I would rather live in a house like that. That makes way more sense to me, especially in our modern era of like my gas bill just went up 10 times. Did you have the same thing? Natural gas is 10 times more expensive all of a sudden. Like I went from paying $5 a month, and my last bill was $50. So I'm just like, ooh,
yeah, good
ooh,
times.
where's my Kachelofen? I just want to burn some wood.
Yeah, good luck.
And in Germany right now, they're being very creative because of the war in Russia. They've had to cut off oil supply.
they've been very energy dependent on Russia, and they're trying to find different ways. Yeah.
Hallelujah, get off that back. But they spent 100. It took 100 days to build. I don't know. They're just, Germans are very industrious. They're figuring it out, and they're getting off the oil, and they're going out to other things. So they're doing it. They're doing it. All right. Doing it, yo. All right. But anyway, so
we can
discussion.
We can talk about all these things because there's not a whole lot of soccer going on.
Yeah. Well, we got the Bundesliga coming up this weekend. We can
finally thank the
Lord.
Thank the Lord. Yeah.
There's some fun. There's some fun MLS. there's some fun MLS and US soccer stuff to talk about. I want to talk about that. So Bjorn, are we doing? You want to do MLS USA stuff first, or do you want to go into the Bundesliga?
Well, if you got stuff to talk about, please go ahead. I'm.
All right. I will pitch just like Past the Horn or whatever that show is called, Around the Horn.
Around the Horn.
Around the Horn. I'll pitch a couple topics.
I'll latch on to something.
All right. First and foremost, the cover of this episode and the name of this episode refers to a very special Schnitzel boy, man. Julian Gressel.
He's American now.
Gressel just got his U.S. passport, and supposedly it's going to be announced on Wednesday, I think. He's part of Camp Cupcake this year. He's part of the U.S. roster. I'm going to go to the Colombia and the Serbia game, and supposedly he'll be playing. So
that is true. He is
congratulations to Schnitzel, Julian Schnitzel Gressel.
Very good.
He'll never play for Germany. He'll probably, I don't want to say never, but it's not likely he'll break into the super duper senior World Cup U.S. squad either. Because he's like a winner, and we got
wide
those.
open.
Yeah, perhaps. But he's going to be playing for domestic U.S. squad, and he's going to be playing for the United States of America. He moved here. He bought a big house in Washington, D.C. I think he has an American wife, so he's like, I'm an American man. So give it up for Julian Gressel, the ultimate Schnitzel boy, doing it right.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, I saw that. That's good that you're bringing that up. Yeah, he'll be in. That's going to be an interesting roster. On Wednesday, they're going to announce it. Yeah, we'll see.
I think
Hudson has in store for us.
Who knows what the hell's going on? Who knows what the hell's going on over? Like last year, like Camp Cupcake used to be like a 30-day camp. It's January 16th. So 2 weeks are gone. Although, from what I understand last year, because I went to the game last year, I think it was only a 10-day camp. It was around the same timeline. I think they announced it around now, or they already had announced it or whatever. But it seems that all the people have been approached. Like, I think the contracts have been signed. They just haven't announced it. Announced on Wednesday, and then I assume they'll be down here at the Dignity Health Sports Park, whatever the heck it's called, down there in Carson, probably this week or the weekend or next. I don't know. Who knows? But they're coming.
I think those will be fun games. I enjoyed that period when Dave. Oh my God, Dave Sarakin was running the team, and Ben Sweat. NYCFC legend Ben Sweat got a couple of caps at left back, and it was immediately clear that was never going to happen again. But I think those games are going to be fun. You don't know. It's a complete wild card. You don't even. I'm
excited. It's going to be.
Very hard. Like if I would predict a starting lineup for one of those games, I wouldn't expect to get more than 3 or 4 people correct. It's going to be a wild ride, and even in going live, you're going to have such a good time, kind of getting a vibe of what these players are like. And no, it's going to be fun.
Maybe Eric Ronaldo will be there again, and he'll bitch and complain again. I don't know, but it'll probably be like Kellen.
He's doing it wrong. Eric Ronaldo is doing it wrong. He had a tweet about how he got into it with Alexi Lalas.
It was like, oh my God, our two dumb uncles are fighting.
I know. Yeah. It's like, come on.
2 of the dumbest people in U.S. soccer are going at each other. And Alexi Lalas was on Eric Ronaldo's podcast only a couple months ago, and they spent an hour talking. And they both started with being like, hey, we have our differences, and then we just go. And I'm like, I just love it. It's like the 2 different alt-right uncles going at each other.
Hey, we have our differences, but we both love attention. So
I know. But so to summarize this tweet storm between Uncle Eric and Uncle Alexi,
we don't even have to, but okay.
Eric was like, I took a small team and I beat the U.S. Open, which he did. He took Eric Ronaldo has a record of taking. I think his big moment was when he coached a team called Cal FC, which was I think in Fresno or somewhere in California. Very small semi-pro team, essentially, and took them to like the semis. It was pretty far. I remember that year. They started knocking off all these big teams.
America's Roberto Martinez. Yeah.
Well, I think this club's a little small. In FA Cup terms, that would be like taking Wrexham to the semis. It's pretty impressive. And Alexi Lalas tweeted, "So can I." it's like Alexi, you've never coached a day in your life.
And then,
Yeah.
Eric Ronaldo got very
defensive about
it. Defensive and listed his
failures, which he has a lot
failures and like getting fired as a.
He used to be my general manager back in the day. He was fired for that. He was fired from his San Jose job. He was fired from the LA Galaxy. He was fired from MetroStars, so he became a talking head. That saves his ass. If he wasn't a pundit, God knows what he'd be these days. And Eric Ronaldo correctly is like, "What the hell are you talking about? You're a total failure." And I just love that because Eric is right, by the way.
Yeah, but he hasn't been able to hold down a job either.
No, Eric Ronaldo gets fired too.
Eric Ronaldo has that quality of being able to pick a fight in an empty room, apparently, and does not hold on to his employment. Anyway,
yeah.
But speaking of the LA Galaxy, if we're doing the whip around,
this is my other topic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please. Then take it away. I don't want to steal your thunder. Yeah. That was interesting.
So at the end of last season, they announced this huge Pasadena Rose Bowl game between the LA Galaxy and the LAFC. And I was like, oh, that'll be fun. I looked, the tickets are a little too pricey for me, to be honest. I was going to wait a little bit. They start at $35. This is the Rose Bowl. They have 90,000 seats to sell. And I'm like, why would it be more expensive in a bigger stadium? But anyway, and that's neither here nor there. It's supposed to be a big game, right? Big old mega super game. Done by the LA Galaxy. The LAFC are just guests. They're not really part of this. This is an LA Galaxy thing engineered by Chris Klein. Now, Chris Klein is just a week or two ago, I think even a week ago, was just announced that he re-signed his contract. Now, LA Galaxy hates Chris Klein because under Chris Klein's 11-year tutelage as president, they've won nothing. They've barely made the playoffs, and they've been penalized for doing illegal rule
breaking, right,
rule breaking, and that's been Chris Klein. Like that's a night and day difference from like Wiki's tutelage or management before him, and the fans have had enough. They're just
lots of complaints, lots of rule breaking, poor transfer decisions.
Very poor.
Douglas
Costa just resigned.
Douglas Costa
just resigned, and he's a flop. And they're like, let's re-sign our flop.
That's wild. Yeah,
under Chris Klein. Anyway, they've had enough. It's been Chris Klein out for a while now. Several seasons they've been like Chris Klein out, and they just re-signed him. And the rumors are that Chris Klein is this super evangelical Christian dude or something. And so is Phil Anschutz, apparently, the owner.
So they go to the same. They
go to the same priest or something. They're both into this whole religious thing together. They're buds.
They're the Christian equivalent of blood brothers.
They're blood brothers. They go to the Vatican, solve crimes. I don't know what they do, but they're
part of the 16, the guard or whatever. What are they called?
I forgot anyway. The temple, the Knights Templar. That one, something like that. I don't know. Who knows?
Anyway,
the fans are like, dude, you guys are just. It seems like
the guy sucks.
Watching soccer anymore. It seems like that has nothing to do with it. It seems like it's just like they're just hanging out with the boys. They're just friends now. So the Galaxy supporters groups who do not get along all released a joint statement that they will be boycotting, I think, every game until Chris Klein gets fired.
Yeah.
Which I love, by the way. That's very German mentality. That's like, hell yeah. And I mean, Chris Klein, this is really exciting because A, will the fans commit to it? B, will it be apparent? Like, especially this Rose Bowl game, they're like, you know what? We're not going to that. We want to show you an empty damn stadium on TV. And when they ask why, it's because Chris Klein is still our president. So good on him for the balls on. So will they do it? Will it have an effect? Will LAFC show solidarity, which I'm showing that I think they will. So I think LAFC is hopping on this train. And that's also very interesting to see the solidarity between LA Galaxy and LAFC, because those two guys, there's a real rivalry there.
Sure.
And will this is sort of a Stefan thing. Will Apple, MLS, state-run media cover it properly? Or
Right.
they've done in the past, will they try to pretend like it's a non-story, like Fox Sports at Qatar, and they'll be like, wow, they'll ignore the fact that half the Rose Bowl is empty. You know what I mean? What are they going to do? Are they going to do proper journalism? They talk about it? Or are they going to sweep it under the rug, which we've seen MLS state media do before?
Interesting. That'll be interesting to watch. This hit me completely out of left field. I was like, you're going to boycott every game until the GM is fired. I don't think.
I love it.
That seems pretty unprecedented, right?
And I hope they do it.
Ultimately, I guess it'll be interesting to see. Ultimately, how much influence do these supporters groups have? Is there going to be nobody in the stadium? We'll see.
Well, I think the supporters groups will be like, I want to see them buy up all the tickets and then not show up. And I want to see a quiet, empty supporters thing, because MLS fans get pushed around too much, in my opinion. And I want to see them. I really want to see them speak back. And if this is a coordinated effort that works, I would be a huge fan of it. I would love it. And I think it would set a great precedent.
All right. Definitely.
It's very German, right? The Bundesliga is full of it.
Oh, yeah. The Bundesliga does this. Although I don't know. They have a lot of opinions also and do this kind of thing. It's usually not that focused on individuals it's usually more issue driven in my recollection of these kinds of things. So
maybe they wanted that. But yeah. Remember they wanted the Schalke director out.
Oh yeah, that's true. Right. Because there was some racist accusations. Yeah.
I mean, they're all racist, but he got caught.
I sort of sometimes laugh. We've had some heated meetings at NYCFC of supporters groups or season ticket holders who had
New York Rebels has the cake to that, though.
You've had the town the legendary
when they fired Mike Pecky. When they fired Mike Pecky, there was a town hall. And that will go on his record as probably the most fans versus establishment or whatever I think has ever happened. I remember when Toronto also signed. Who did they sign? Was it Lewicki? No, it was Greg Lagler. Who was the big super manager they signed like 10 years ago to fix Toronto? And he did. His name was it Lewicki?
Oh yeah, Tim Bezpachenko. Is that his name?
Nah, he was part of that crew. He was the general manager, but it was his boss. The guy they hired, but anyway, a big American super exec who I think it was Lewicki. Like he came from LA to go fix Toronto or something, and he did. He spent a lot of money. He brought in the Italian superstar, Little Ant. His name escapes me at the moment. And he brought in Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore and blah blah blah, and then they went on an MLS Cup little mini dynasty. But there was a big meet. He sat with the fans. He apologized and he promised them he'd fix it all. And blah, blah, blah. That was less contentious, but that was more one of the examples of like where the fans meet the manager.
Right.
Now, if LA had that, which they might have to, if like Chris Klein sat down with the supporters groups, it might be a New York Red Bulls 2.0. Because for those of you who don't remember, when Mike Pecky just won the Supporters Shield, or he did, he just made it to the semis. Like he was he was our first winning coach we've ever had. And then Baldy McGee, what's his name? I forgot. Oh, God, I wish I need to remember these guys' names. Just escaping so many names. Our sport director, some guy from the MLS office, a bald dude, fired Mike Pecky. First thing he did, like right away, and we're like, what? And then he came. He said, I have a 300-page plan. We have these sensors. He had this whole 300-page plan.
Oh yeah, he had that binder.
New philosophy
right?
and a binder. And we're like, what the hell? You just fired our winning coach. He won the Supporter Shield 2 seasons ago, and we got eliminated at a last-minute goal in the semifinal playoffs last year. It's like he was great. Like, let's do another one. And then what ended up being kind of like it was right. Was Richardson, Ali Richardson? Was his
Ali
name?
Curtis.
Ali Curtis, thank you.
Ali Curtis, who is now in Toronto.
Who's now up
right?
in Toronto. Yeah, with a lot
Or
of
he wasn't. Yeah. Right.
Toronto caught. Funny that Toronto ended up catching all of our formers. When you get fired in your Red Bulls, Toronto will grab you. Like Robin Fraser was one of those. But anyway, then he brought in Jesse Marsh, and then under his then he himself was fired. Jesse Marsh just took over, and under Jesse Marsh we were even better. So it ended up being like a good move, but it was such a weird, suspect move at the time to fire a successful coach because you have a 300-page plan or something that he refused to divulge to everybody.
My binder says Petke must go.
My binder, look, this will win. And then on the fan page, they said, look, we found it. We have the 300-page plan. They did this joke PowerPoint presentation of just like bald guys, other famous bald guys, just like making fun of Ali Curtis, but it was such a weird move. Anyway, but it led to a town hall where everyone was yelling, and one guy's like, why did you fire Petke? Why did you fire Petke? I love the passion. And I'll be honest with you, I think they lost a big chunk of fans that day. And then one guy asked, hey man, where's my this is maybe a question an NYCFC fan should be asking now. He's just like, when the team started, we had Roberto Donadoni, we had Thierry Henry. He's like, who is my marquee player that will make me want to buy tickets? Who is that moving forward? And they're just like, it's like, we do not. I think they gave a very corporate answer, but it's very clear they were not going to sign players like that anymore. And New York Red Bulls fans are still harping on that, which I think is a little ridiculous, to be honest. But I'm wondering, does NYCFC have that? Are there people like wondering where the next Frank Lampard is? Are there people missing?
Well, like I don't think. I mean, the team's been successful,
right,
in the past, even without these names, and I think people for the most part have embraced the approach going for younger players. There's always some, I mean, even a few months before we won MLS Cup, there were these burn it all down people holding up banners in the stands that wanted everybody fired, like Lee out, Sims out, Ronnie Dyla, everybody had to go. So there's always, I mean, that's it's part and parcel of the American soccer experience. There's a certain amount of people who always think that being disgruntled and angry is a sign of authenticity. Like that's what real, because that's where that's what the English do. English fans are always mad, so that's what we have to do as well. So there's always that, but I think in general, I don't think people are too upset. Although right now, I don't know if you want to dive into that, right? I mean, I'm trying not to panic because this often happens. The signings come late and preseason starts early. And so there's always that moment of, but I mean, NYCFC, they've announced their preseason roster and it's pretty dire. Like there's a lot of kids, there's a lot of draft picks, there's a lot of NYCFC 2. And we'll see how that goes. I'm sure there's people coming in, but so far, I mean, they re-signed Justin Hack. I mean, that's like basically the biggest, how desperate we are when that was like, oh, thank God Justin Hack is back. When it's like, okay, I mean, he's great, but it's like, it's just
New York Rebels is the same thing. New York Rebels is the same thing. We just, I mean, but I'm okay. We had a couple announcements the other day. We extended our loan with Kyle Duncan. So that's our like Justin Hack move. Yeah. We signed Lewis Morgan to a big old fancy new kind. He's like our new leader now. He's probably going to be our team captain maybe next season.
He's been good, right?
He earned it, yeah. And then, but the other thing which I'm more excited about, which is sort of a state of mind, is we're signing a lot of young homegrowns. We signed this 17-year-old kid from Tyler Adams' hometown. And then we just signed we signed Peter Stroud, Jared Stroud's younger brother, also a homegrown contract. He's like a young dude out of college, but he was part of the Red Bull Academy. those are the guys. Like for the New York Red Bulls, for me as a fan, those are the guys with the most potential. Those are the ones to be excited about because those guys, like a Caden Clark,
Right.
like a Daniel Edelman, they can just show up and become good players, and then become good players. And I'm like, that's really what is it? What are we doing here? You know. So for NYCFC too, that's why I ask you about the young kids. Those guys you don't know much about. Maybe those guys, the sky's the limit for those guys. Maybe
I
they'll
mean,
break
yeah,
out.
but it's also
So,
it's like some of them are very, we have these two. Remember, we had that bid when he first signed of Maximo Carrizo, right? When I went to his house and to congratulate him, but he wasn't there. And he now, or Christian McFarlane is
who are you
another
talking
one.
about? Wait, hold on, who?
I'm talking about these. I think this. Am I not?
You mean Pellegrino Matarazzo?
No, Maximo. What is his name exactly?
Did you go to his actual house? Or you're talking for fake?
No, I'm obviously
Oh, for
I
fake.
was joking.
I'm a little-
Maximo Carrizo. Maximo Carrizo became the youngest person
Oh, he's a
ever
14. He was a
signed. He was
14-year-old,
14,
right?
and he made
He went to his house, but he was at his friend's sleepover party.
right. He wasn't there, and he made his pro debut at 14 with NYCFC 2. The other one is Christian McFarlane, who's I think a year or two older. He's going to turn 16 soon. But it's like, I mean, these are children, like
I know,
literal.
I'm not talking about that. That's a little ridiculous. For
Well,
me.
I mean, there is a lot of hype though, because there are,
Get rid of the hype.
There was some talk of like European teams are interested in these guys. Are they even gonna? McFarlane presumably could make his debut this year with the first team. So I don't know how much to
name any in the history of soccer. Name any 14-year-old pro that went on to have
14,
a good career.
Not 14, but Alphonso Davies, I don't know how old is he? He was like 15, 16 when he first started.
Yeah, I guess he was kind of, but like 16, 17 is fine.
Yeah,
but like 14 is
that's where we're at. That's where we're at with Christian McFarlane. I think he's turning 16 in a few weeks. So he is, I think. But Maximo Carrizo is in training camp with NYCFC first team. He's on the squad right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
that'll be fun. How old is he now? 15, 16?
He's still 14. Yeah, he's 14
still
years old.
14?
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe just turned 15. I don't know. But yeah, there is some hype there, but it's like, really, like these kids are not going to have an impact. Right, they're years away from anything meaningful happening there. And we have. I mean, I think Justin Hack had a semi-breakout year last year, but he's in his 20s now. He's no longer a child. And then we have some. We have Alistair Johnson's brother Malcolm. He's he's an unsigned draft pick. We have some NYCFC 2 kids, and we learned a couple things. We learned that. Thales Magno, I thought that we needed a number 9, and it seemed like, but Thales Magno said during MLS Media Day that he expects to play the 9. So perhaps this is our move, that we have a front line of Thiago Andrade and Thales Magno and Gabi Pereira, that's not terrible as long as our starting 11 is not terrible as long as no one gets hurt, because there's absolutely no backup for any position, and there's still a bunch of mysteries.
We call that the New York Red Bulls philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, we're used to having pretty deep teams and competition at almost every spot, and that is currently not the case. But I mean, people will come in. Hopefully, we have some mysteries still. The Santi Rodriguez finally officially said goodbye. He's going to go to Brazil, Bahia, maybe. I'd be interested to hear what happened there, because he was a CFG, he was on loan, but he was a CFG on loan from another CFG team. So he must not have wanted to come back, or we didn't want to pay him. I don't know. That's an interesting. And then the other two that are still up in the air are Sean Johnson and Alex Collins. Alex Collins, yesterday, people were tweeting that he's going to Boca Juniors in Argentina. Today we heard that it's not necessarily the case. He's a good example in this. might make this interesting for non-NYCFC fans. He's an example of the salary cap situation. He made like $814,000 last year.
He's a
And so
TAM
then
guy.
he's a TAM guy, and so that means other MLS teams are prohibited from offering him more than, I think, 20% more than that. So it's
That's
like
ridiculous.
900.
So the whole league's going to lose him. Yeah.
So the whole nobody can offer him more than $950,000, which
can NYCFC can offer him a
presumably
DP contract. Though,
we
right?
could offer him a DP contract, which
he's worth. Do it.
Which he's worth, except we already have a center back DP, which
Well,
probably also
have in total?
we right now we have Thiago Martins, and we have, I think Thales is a young DP. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah,
So we have
but
some
everyone
spots.
gets 3, right? Everyone gets 3 DPs.
We have some spots available. But we don't want to use them all for center backs. We need midfield help. We need striker help. We need other.
Well, that's why.
I think also this is probably the reason that Thiago Martins was signed to this deal to begin with is because Collins wouldn't sign another contract. Chanot, his counterpart, he signed a long-term deal, and presumably to end his career here. And but he's a couple years older. Alex Collins is 29, and he wants big money, and NYCFC probably would happily pay him the $975 or whatever that everybody else is offering in MLS. According to Taylor Twellman today, that at least 2 other teams made max TAM offers, but he wants more. He wants more, and it seems like he doesn't have. He would like to go to Europe. I think the Boca thing is attractive, but now Boca just today signed another center back. So it's unclear. And then Roberto Abramowitz said also on Twitter that Collins is still negotiating. He may not have any better options, and so he may come back. I don't know. We don't know about Sean Johnson either. Probably similar thing. There's probably offers out to those guys.
Boca Juniors want Sean Johnson.
Toronto would like Sean Johnson, right. But they have the same restrictions. They can't offer him that much more than we can, and probably NYCFC has said, this is what we're offering, and these guys are out there trying to.
I feel bad for the players,
yeah,
because no matter they have all these negotiations, they threaten strikes. At the end of the day, the league still has like 90% of all the rules in their favor. They just get that. So I didn't even know. So the rule is they can only offer a maximum TAM, and no one's allowed to offer a DP.
You have
contract?
the rule, Paul. If you want to, Paul Harvey on Twitter was tweeting about this. I can't. There's just a restriction. You have, if you have the right.
Yeah, but it's built for people not to be able to gobble up better players.
Exactly. There is a limit.
That should
because
be allowed.
it's a single entity league.
Right.
people,
there
are
a
lot of.
The anti-Bayern München rule, we'll call it. And but what it sounds like they're doing? They're just sitting and waiting and letting all their other offers fall through and not happen, and then offer them the cheapest they can when it's all done.
Well, I think
they
have offered what they want to offer. I'm sure they want to. I think, like I said, I think the Thiago Martins was probably brought in because Collins wouldn't sign the long-term deal, and so now they're probably like, well, we don't want to have 2 DP center backs. That makes sense. And so, but then Collins says, I should be making more money than Thiago Martins. Also, completely true and fair. So,
weird.
So we're still at a standoff there, and we haven't. The problem, of course, is the longer this takes to resolve, the less time we have to find replacements already. I mean, even just bringing in Thiago Martins a year early, basically, with Collins' contract expiring, speaks to the urgency of, not waiting to the last minute to replace somebody like that. So long story short, I'm sure people will come in. I'm sure there'll be new players. I'm sure the NYCFC or the CFG scouting has been very good. They found good people. So I'm sure in the long run, it's all going to be okay. But I think there's also this could be pretty rough for a while before it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, as a New York Red Bulls fan, none of this is
Cry me a river,
like,
right?
Cry me a river. We've had like 3 offseasons in a row where we're just like, there's been zero news regarding player acquisition. It's like, are people in the office? It's like we don't even know. But just like full season just go by. Like last summer, it's like all we need is a number 9, cricket. So we never got a number 9. And it was like, well, that off season's over, and we didn't get the one thing we needed. So moving on. And this off season for us has been surprisingly busy, but in a very average for anybody else type of way. Like we got Corey Burke. We signed Luis Manuel to a permanent deal finally. We signed Luis Moura a new contract. But then the rest is just about bringing in young homegrowns. Just bringing a bunch of young homegrowns. That's probably going to be it. Really, our number 9 is Manuel and Corey Burke. We'd love to get rid of Patrick Klimala, but no one wants him.
No one wants to take him off your hands.
We're probably going to hold on to him for a bit. I don't know. If I'm New York Red Bulls, I'd like call Poland and just be like, let's just do a straight up trade. It's like, give me one of your young guys and I'll give you Patrick.
We'll take anyone.
We'll take anybody because it's a real wild card at this point. Or like, you want a number 9? We'll take a right back or something. You know what I mean? Call Sporting Wrocław or whatever, one of those clubs, and be like, we'll give you this hot young Polish number 9, huh? If you'll give us your right back, whoever that may be. You know what I mean? I'll just take anybody else.
Cut together a highlight reel that looks decent.
That worked from a couple years ago. Yeah.
It's wild, right? The international,
If I were the sporting director, that'd be I've tried to pull a bait and switch for the Polish club.
Try to sneak one past them.
Yeah. But the other reality is he'd probably do really well in Poland because the Polish league is probably not as competitive as MLS league. It's probably easier to score goals. I could be wrong. It'd be a little old school, but I know we've had really good players from the Polish league come here and do well. So it might be a little more on par. But I would imagine Klimala would excel more over there than here, I think. So maybe he would start scoring goals if one of the clubs snapped him up. So Karol Swardowski, he is not.
Best of luck to him. Karol Swardowski is not. Tat Castellanos, NYCFC legend, is rumored to go to Brighton and Hove Albion.
Really? Is that the deal? I know he's been doing okay with at Sporting Gijón. Girona. Where is he at?
Girona, yeah, he's been all right. And now Brighton wants him.
One of our old school fans, I think one of our first subs, Tara Devi West, is talking to us on the chat, and we are about to transfer straight into some Bundesliga talk right now.
Yep.
So you couldn't be more appropriate in your timing. Tara Devi West, Happy New Year. More in Bundesliga, please. Cool. Do we have any other thoughts on MLS and U.S. soccer? No, right?
Sign some players.
Apple. The other thing was the big Apple event.
Oh,
they
yeah.
released a couple of things, but just a sampler. We still have a lot more hiring.
Sampler of the people. Up. I mean, that's also going to be. It's going to be a shit show for a while, and eventually, it's going to be great. So
we got some hockey guy to run the broadcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of hockey. There's a lot of strong. Like I'd rather be doing hockey vibes in a lot of this lineup. But anyway.
But they do that a lot. If I'm not an idiot, if I ran Apple or I would call the guy who runs Sky Sports or the Bundesliga guy or maybe the Liga MX guy. Wouldn't I bring a soccer team in? Does that make me stupid? Is that too expensive?
That Steve Cangeloso made the cut fills me with
Cangelosi. Okay, show respect to Steve Cangelosi. I like Steve Cangelosi.
All right, good.
I don't love Steve Cangelosi.
That makes one of us.
What makes me really unhappy is apparently JP Della Camera will not be involved, and that is bad. We need to get JP Della Camera involved because I love JP. All right.
This Friday,
Bayern München versus RB Leipzig.
RB Leipzig at home against Bayern München.
The
final days of Nkunku, the Nkunku farewell tour begins.
Before he goes to Chelsea.
With every other player available.
Chelsea just signed another guy, right? Who did they just sign? They signed some
Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yes, they did.
Donetsk.
But they also signed Joao Felix.
Well, they they didn't sign him; they loaned him.
Loaned him.
They spent I think it was $12 million for a 6
And he
months
got red
loan.
carded his first
Got
game.
red card, and he's going to miss 3 games. He's going to get suspended 3 games. So this loan has now become even more expensive.
But the only reason I
it
bring
was
this
already.
up is because our boy Christian Pulisic is sitting there, and Chelsea's just stacking and stacking and stacking and hoarding and hoarding and hoarding all these offensive players for him to just keep going deeper and deeper on the bench. So, he's got to go. Maybe he needs to go to Brighton Hove Albion. We'll see. But anyway, we got Leipzig versus Bayern München. Tara Devi West, Leipzig. Yes, I'm frustrated with Nkunku. He'll be another Timo, I'm sure.
Oh,
yeah.
You're frustrated with him leaving. Yeah, I mean, why would anyone go to? I mean, other than of course gazillions of pounds. I mean, that's the reason.
Right.
But why would anyone go to Chelsea right now? They seem like a complete mess. They're just panic buying everybody, competing, outbidding themselves and trying to.
They're doing the Manchester United route. I believe they're doing the Manchester United route where they just spend and spend
Man United
and spend.
from a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, where they just spend and spend and spend and keep hiring and firing coaches and trying to just throw money at the wind, but all of it's failing. It seems like Chelsea's entering that route. I mean, their big decision to fire Tuchel and replace with Graham Potter was a bad decision, right? It was weird. Graham Potter was a pretty good coach, an English coach, but it was for a small club and he was doing okay. Like, he wasn't amazing. And they're just like, let's fire Tuchel and replace him with this guy right after we just spent $300 million signing Tuchel's players. It was weird.
And it was because Tuchel didn't want to be on WhatsApp all the time, right? It was like I mean, it really came down to that, right? To some extent, that he was not as responsive to the. Yeah, I mean, I like Graham Potter. I think he'll figure it out, maybe, but I think just organizationally, they've just lost so much of their brain power. Everybody left, and now we have people have a lot of money, but not necessarily maybe a lot of savvy. I don't know. It's just you can't just buy everybody. It just takes time. It takes time to mold a team. People need to have confidence. People need to feel like they're wanted and they have a spot and they're. I mean, Graham Potter
Leipzig.
now.
That's how Leipzig does it. That's why in the German Bundesliga, we don't just throw money at our problems because we don't have money to throw.
Because there's not as much money to throw. Exactly.
We live in a world where RB Leipzig and Borussia Dortmund are the two biggest clubs in Germany outside of Bayern München. But when Brighton calls, they're like, well, we can't compete with that. Brighton can offer more money. So, like, there's been a few news, excuse me. There's been a few transfer news where, like, a small club, even like Wout Weghorst, the biggest striker in the Bundesliga at the time, behind Lewandowski and Tall Blonde. What's up with me and names today? Erling Haaland. Burnley took him right out. We're like, you know what? We'll offer you more money than Wolfsburg. And it's like, Wolfsburg is a big club backed by VW, but they just don't have the spending power that a Burnley had. So,
well, they also were in a transition period at the time, right? Like they were.
What I'm saying is, German clubs, they excel, but they depend entirely on their scouting network. Their scouting network is second to none. So, a Christopher Nkunku will come out of nowhere because they lost Timo Werner or whoever they lost, and all of a sudden he's now the best player in the Bundesliga. He was just waiting. So he's a great player. He is the key to Leipzig's success this season. We'll see. Sebastian Haller is finally ready to play again, I think, for Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, he scored a bunch of goals in a preseason. His testicles are fully healed. That's good to. They
grew back.
It's nice to see.
They grew back. I think the way it works is they chopped them off, so they grew a new pair. But like the other guy who's playing a little fire under his belly at Borussia Dortmund.
He got one from Mats Hummels and one from Nico Schlotterbeck.
Yeah, Schlotterbeck. And then Schlotterbeck's like, "Hey, give me my Schlotterbeck."
Oh, hey.
Hey, I want to see Gio Reyna. I want to see Gio Reyna play with a fucking fire under his belly. Because he's like, you know what? Screw all you guys. Look, watch me play week in and week out in this top flight. Watch me score 3 goals against Bayern München. You know,
Gonna take it all out on poor Augsburg on Sunday.
little Augsburg, who's been having a great season since they got rid of Ricardo Pepi. I know Bremen's going to Köln. Let's look at these. Let's look at a couple of these matchups here. But the Bayern Leipzig one, that's the explosive one. Let me look at the table because Bayern did it at the beginning of the season. Bayern was struggling, but right before the World Cup break, Bayern München finally gave themselves not just on top of the table, but a little bit of space again. So let's see.
Yeah, but what's the goalie situation?
That's the other big talking point.
Nagelsmann was saying today, if anything happens to Sven Ulreich, they got nobody. So they're still looking for Jan Sommer, perhaps. And
RB Leipzig is 28 points. Bayern München first and 34 points. Leipzig in third. So that'll cut the deficit in half if RB Leipzig win this weekend. The Bayern München goalkeeping situation is interesting. I mean, Sven Ulreich was there last time when they needed it. Like, he replaced him last time. So he's done it before. It's not new for Sven Ulreich to come in and become to replace Manuel Neuer when he has a broken leg. We've done that before. He did that, 2 or 3? He did it right before the 2018 World Cup, right? They have a great young goalkeeper, Alex Nübel, on loan that they got from Schalke, who's like the Schalke Wunderkind, on loan in Monaco, off in the desert. And he doesn't want to leave. I think he's like done with Bayern München. He didn't want to come back. He's like, I'm sticking in Monaco.
Well, he's playing, right? He's yeah. And
I mean,
and
yeah,
that's
but if
the
they
problem.
recalled him, he'd be playing at Bayern München for the second half.
But that's the problem with any of these. You know, once Neuer comes back, you're out of a job.
That's why the Jan Sommer thing is ridiculous. They offered him a contract through 2026 or something, 2027, with a lot of money. And Jan Sommer's like, maybe. I'm like, Jan, you're going to sit on the bench the minute Manuel Neuer is back. So I don't understand why Jan Sommer would leave to go to Bayern München right now, other than a small loan. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why he'd move to Bayern München.
Go Tonya Harding on him and break his other leg when he returns.
Yeah, that would be our recommendation. That's the point. By the way, Jan Sommer would be a great replacement. I love Jan Sommer. I'm glad
he's great. Fantastic.
I'm glad this past World Cup he's finally.
But they should not be. Manuel Neuer and Jan Sommer should not be on the same team.
No, just like Alexander Nübel should have gone to Bayern München. That was a weird thing. Remember that? He was like the starting Schalke keeper.
Yeah.
And then Bayern München signed him, and then Bayern München's like, we'll give you a game a month. And Manuel Neuer's like, I'm not giving up a game a month to anyone.
Well, Neuer is, I mean, you know, he's just showing no signs of wanting to step down. He's no spring chicken. He's 36. But so you could see how
he keeps André ter Stegen off the team. Manuel Neuer is a beast. He's very selfish. He's doing great.
Well, I mean,
he's
like, this is his spot. He's not going. But you could see how somebody would think, oh, he's 36. You know, I'll sit for a year and then I'll take over this job. But he could also play for 4. He could definitely be.
He
definitely could play 4 more years for sure.
He probably would, just to keep Jan Sommer on the bench. Seems like that. Here's a weird thing, by the way. This just occurred to me the other day. I don't know why. It's like a weird. So Manuel Neuer was at 2014, 2018, 2022. 3 World Cups already. And, 2 of them big failures under his captaincy.
Only one of them went well, yeah.
Only one of them went well, but when he wasn't captain, when he was young. No, in 2010. No, 4 World Cups. Because he was at 20. He replaced an injured René Adler before. Remember? 2010, René Adler was our starting goalkeeper. He got injured. Young Manuel Neuer took over, and the rest is history. So he has 4 World Cups under his belt, which is a lot. But how many World Cups did Oliver Kahn play for Germany, Bjorn?
As a starter?
Yeah.
Just 1, maybe?
Just 1, definitely.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I just realized that. I'm like, Oliver Kahn's only been our goalkeeper for one tournament. Isn't that crazy? With
Well,
Oliver
he
Kahn
had.
being-
I mean,
he played 2 Euros and 1 World Cup. But he sat on the bench for a long time. He was on the bench in 94. He was on the bench in 98. And then he was on the bench in 06. Remember when Jens Lehmann took over?
Right.
He only had 1 World Cup. And he was the player of the tournament. It was an amazing World Cup. And they never gave him one again. They're like, you got your one.
Well, traditionally, yeah. I mean, traditionally in Germany, there's lots of good keepers. And usually once you have the job, you don't lose the job. I mean, like we see with Manuel Neuer. Manuel Neuer did not have a good tournament in 2018, and you could have made the case that he should have lost his starting job after that, but he did not. You know, conservative country. We like to stick with the people.
Yeah, but that's just crazy because Oliver Kahn, if you had to think of greatest German goalkeepers of all time, Oliver Kahn would be close to top of the list. He'd be up there. We love Oliver Kahn, but like for whatever reason, Bodo Illner and Franz Köpke, I forgot his first name, Köpke, and
Andy Köpke
and Andreas Köpke and Jens Lehmann. Seems like everybody wanted the other keepers instead for some reason.
I mean, Bodo Illner is a good example because he was not, like he was not that clearly better than the people behind him. But then once he got picked, then that's just it. Once you got picked, he got picked.
He also played at Real Madrid, which was exotic.
Well,
he played for Real Madrid for a long time.
He started in Cologne. He started, and it was just like because Toni Schumacher was the national team. And then it was like, oh, I guess we'll just take the next guy from Cologne because that's just.
But even Schumacher got 2 tournaments. He was there, I think, in 82.
Oh, yeah, he was 80, 82 and 86.
Maybe even 3. Maybe at 78. I don't remember. Maybe you remember more about that than me.
No, he was not the starter in 78. It was still Sepp Maier.
Yeah, Sepp Maier. How many tournaments did he have?
Sepp Maier, he had 3, I think. He didn't.
Right. I'm saying German goalkeepers. Because Köpke had 94 and 98, didn't he?
They have some longevity. Yeah.
Kahn is the only keeper.
But Köpke also said Köpke deserved because he sat behind Bodo Illner for a while. And so, yeah, he had 2. And those didn't go well either. He wasn't super successful. Those were both.
It's just very interesting that Oliver Kahn only had 1. You know what I mean? Isn't that weird? For German goalkeeper, and German goalkeepers are always great. And we always have a great German goalkeeper tradition. And Oliver Kahn is pretty much right up there, like right by Sepp Maier, right by Manuel Neuer.
But he was a bit of a. I mean, he had a great tournament.
He only had 1 tournament,
but he's a bit of an
amazing tournament.
He was great, but he was always a bit of a wild card and sort of.
Toni Schumacher wasn't? Kidding me?
No, he was too. That's true.
Big wild.
He took out. Yeah. Anyway,
in that generation of German players, Oliver Kahn was probably the least wild cardy of all, compared to like Lothar Matthäus or Stefan Effenberg or Stefan Kuntz and all those guys. I don't know. I think he was just part of the gang, just doing what they were doing. Anyway, that was just a random thought I had, and it made me think. It's like, wow, Oliver Kahn only had 1 tournament. Interesting.
Right.
Manuel Neuer has 4. So, very interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I am very excited. I mean, this is you couldn't pick a better game for.
I know this is a good game
for. I mean, a lot of RB Leipzig, players had a very good. I mean, really, Josko Guardiola stands out. He is probably the Bundesliga player with the best tournament, the best World Cup of any. So. I don't know. Maybe
unless who on the French team? No, not the French. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, maybe Kingsley Coman or who was the French or Lucas Hernandez or
he came off the bench mostly.
Yeah, but
Lucas Hernandez was a little up and down. I mean, nobody has raised their stock during this tournament more than
Guardiola. Yeah,
Guardiola.
Yeah. Rebel, I'm trying to think, was this on? I know it's on. I think it's on ESPN. Part of me thought it was maybe on ABC. I was thinking of the Super Classico. Yeah. They put Barcelona versus Real Madrid on ABC. It was like cool. But Bayern Munich versus RB Leipzig is this Friday, and here in the United States, it's on ESPN cable. It's on ESPN Plus, but it's also on ESPN cable, so it should be a big big audience
Should
with
be
a
good.
bang. I'm rooting for RB Leipzig because I want a little spice. If Bayern Munich wins, they will be 9 points ahead of RB Leipzig, and I
Yeah.
just don't want to see that.
And
So
and this Leipzig team is very good, is A, very good, and B, not long for this world because
Right.
all these guys,
they're all on their
all
way
these
out.
guys are gonna, a lot of these
So
guys. are gonna-
Olmo, right? Danny
yeah.
Olmo. But RB Leipzig, Tara, is it Tara? Is it Tara? Tara? Please correct my pronunciation. RB Leipzig is built to sell. So these play like Danny Olmo has been there quite a while. I'm surprised he survived as long as he has. And Kunku is fast. Guardiola has already been there for a couple
It
seasons.
seems like the last I heard, it seems like he's gonna stay till the summer.
Yeah, I think
Guardiola.
they're all staying till the summer, I believe.
I
That's what the
mean,
German. That's the
I
best
don't
the
know,
Germans
maybe.
could do. That's
Hopefully.
the best Germans could do.
And
They're like-
Kunku's staying till the summer.
Right.
But there's some the relegation zone in the Premier League is quite wide. There's a bunch of teams there that are very worried, and you don't know who where their
Leeds.
wandering eye is gonna land. And
Leeds just signed the player from Hoffenheim,
Oh
they're
yeah,
number 9.
right.
Rutte.
Yeah. Right. Who I
So yeah, very interesting scouting because it's like
I
he doesn't.
never rated him all that high. It's
Right.
sort of it's surprising. Yeah.
He also
I mean,
doesn't
it's
have
like
a huge
Arsenal.
goal count.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
If we're just briefly going back to MLS, Arsenal supposedly is interested in Facundo Torres of Orlando FC, and somebody tweeted, I think it was Paul Harvey again, tweeted today that if Facundo Torres is an Arsenal level player, then Santi Rodriguez of formerly of NYCFC is a Real Madrid level player, which I think I agree with. It's like those are not. Yeah, there's some panic people in England, so you don't know what kind of money they're going to throw around or offer.
I think they're thinking of Arsenal de Sarandí, the Ecuadorian club. That's got to be what. That's the only reason I could explain that.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe he's like that guy would be perfect for our loan army that we never play. Maybe it's something like that. But yeah, that is a weird little thing. But no, same with like this Rutte thing again. It's like they scout him. It's Hoffenheim. It's Jesse Marsch. He knows those guys, and it's like okay, but this guy, I think he only has a handful of goals in the last 18 months. I don't know. It's okay. They must know some. It must be his numbers or something. They must see something we're not seeing. I don't know.
He's got a high work rate. That's a requirement for Leeds. He's a pressing machine. I mean, that's why Weghorst is attractive to Man United. I don't think they think he's going to score a dozen goals, but he's definitely going to press. And
he's a big target man up top.
And so I think that's probably. He always sort of struck me as a little, I'm looking for a word that's not as harsh as soft, but like he did not strike me as like a knipser or like kind of a hard-boiled guy that's going to necessarily succeed.
Weghorst or Rutte?
No, Rutte.
Yeah, well, time will tell. Maybe he's a revelation. Germans have their eyes on Pascal Gross, who plays for Brighton. He's German, and every now and then he shows some great brilliance in the world's most competitive league. And we're a team in search of a number 9. You know what I mean? If we got
Füllkrug forever.
Füllkrug is crushing it. What's to say Pascal Gross wouldn't also crush it? I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely there are some openings. Mukoko is staying in Dortmund maybe now. There was also a lot of news surrounding him, a lot of I think
he was going to Wrexham or something.
I think there was now
he's going to Swansea. Swansea has more spending power than Borussia Dortmund.
Ryan Reynolds was personally picking him up.
Do your best to keep your players, please.
Yeah,
at least another year.
At least till the summer. Yeah. I mean, I am excited. I was pretty high on this Leipzig team before the World Cup, even higher on them now, and this is the matchup we want to see.
Yeah, we love it. Tara, good luck with Leipzig on Friday. We're rooting for Leipzig. just to make things interesting. And,
And
the
then we
talent.
have
They got
and
Nkunku, they got Guardiola, they got a better goalkeeper now, maybe in Gulashi. Because Sven Ulreich will be in goal, and Sven Ulreich, especially when he's cold like this, is vulnerable. So go get him. Go punch
We'll
that bear
see.
in the nose.
then on Saturday we have my team Bochum start with a 6-pointer right away. Can catapult themselves out of the relegation spot with a victory against Hertha Berlin if they can do it at home.
Right, and Hertha Berlin, definition of vulnerability, because
This
they
could be, yeah.
are.
I mean,
vulnerable.
I am still sort of dubious. I really thought Bochum had no chance of keeping the league this year. I thought our squad was not good enough, but couple victories at the end of the year, we're right back in. Schalke has collapsed, and so I don't know. We'll see. Bochum managed the rare feat of losing 2 preseason games in the same day. They had to, for some reason, sometimes I guess teams like to do that, where so everybody gets some time in on the same schedule. They like to schedule. NYCFC has done that too. Where they just schedule 2 games in the same day so that everybody's on the same rhythm and everybody gets time in. And Bochum did that, and they lost them both.
They
and
can all
not
lose
close
together.
Either. Yeah, can all lose together. Get used to it.
Well, speaking of
obviously,
fans,
yeah.
Not only do we have Tara, but first we have Tom is back. I miss you, Tom. Welcome back, Tom. Tom is saying, I'm hoping Union Berlin can pick it up again. Me too. Love Union Berlin.
I know.
Where are they at right now in the standings?
Don't hold your breath. They're fifth.
Fifth.
I mean, everybody's this. They're only three points behind Freiburg, who are in second. So they could, but I think they definitely struggled. They folded pretty quickly. I mean, after really having a kind of a commanding lead for a while, their form was not good. The break came at a good time for them.
Well, I think they're the little train that could. They've been punching above the weight forever. The fact they're in fifth right now is still amazing. There's a batch of guys. So Freiburg, Leipzig, Frankfurt, Union, and Dortmund are all 5 points apart, second to sixth place. So that batch is there. With Wolfsburg and Niko Kovac and Wolfsburg right behind, as Niko Kovac sort of does his return to prominence. Gladbach at 8th, they'll be disappointed in that, right? They've done better before. Werder 9th, they'd be very happy with that. Their return to the Bundesliga has been successful for them. Yeah. Unlike Schalke, which sits at the very bottom with 9 points. Looks like they're about to sink, and looks like all their fans are about to run after them and beat them up at the end of the season again.
Oh, no.
Tara, right? Thank you, Tara. It's not looking for Schalke. I mean, Schalke is club chaotic. They've never. They need a new manager.
Yeah, maybe this came
or something.
Maybe this came too early for them in their sort of rebuilding timeline. This promotion. Well,
Leverkusen in 12th. Remember, didn't they lose their first 5 or 6 games this year with their new?
Let's see.
Fun coach. Everyone's excited about.
Xabi Alonso is getting it together. Maybe. I mean, that's another team that I thought would do better. That's going to be that's the other game I'm looking out for this weekend on Sunday. Mönchengladbach against Leverkusen. I think those are 2 teams that feel like they've underachieved, and this is an immediate test to see, and also a derby. They are rivals, and that's going to be interesting to see who starts better in this new year.
Tara, Debbie, don't you think Leipzig has changed their target to win the Bundesliga? I hope so. I mean, they are most likely if you told me what team's going to win the Bundesliga next that isn't Bayern München, I'd probably say RB Leipzig, right? They're probably the front runner of that. I
thought, I mean, with Timo back and Marco Rose as coach, I definitely was high on them. They kind of started more slowly than I thought they would. It took them a little while to get going. But But yeah, I think a bunch of their guys are going to be full of confidence, and I mean they're 6 points behind Bayern, so this is it. If they win, then they're right in there. If they don't, I mean, obviously we're not even halfway through, so nothing is going to be decided this weekend. But for Leipzig, a win would go a long way to maybe recalibrate their goals for this
I'm
season.
rooting for Leipzig, but all season they've been disappointing me, honestly. And it's just because defensively, I think they're pretty frail, even with Guardiola. I don't know. I wish them the best. I hope they do well. But I've been watching the
Konrad Leiner. We mentioned Nkunku. We did not mention Konrad Leiner, who has signed a deal with Bayern for the summer. So there's a lot of this for it's now or never for this Leipzig team, because they're
hopefully Timo Werner can find his groove back. Hopefully Timo Werner can get his groove back. Because
is he back? What is his injury situation? Is he good to go?
How long was
I have not kept up.
2-month injury or something? Timo Werner injury. He had a torn syndesmotic ligament and will be out for the rest of the year.
Oh, he's not back.
Oh, crap.
No. Right.
There's no more Timo Werner in there. Oh, crap. I can't believe I missed that. No Timo Werner. That doesn't help either. It's looking dire.
He'll be next season's Nkunku replacement.
Maybe. It's looking dire for Leipzig, but man, I hope they can do it. They lost Timo Werner. Bayern München lost Manuel Neuer. And that is probably a bigger loss, I would say. Tom, Leipzig need a draw at the very least to stay close, but truly a win. 100%.
Yeah, I think if they want to nurse any title hopes, they need something out of this game for sure.
My prediction is Bayern München will win 7-0. That's my prediction. Because in the history of the Bundesliga,
that's how these things go.
It's looking like, but Leipzig could just need a win. It'll be there. And then they'll destroy them, and they'll be like, season's over. Peace, and drop the mic and walk out. I'm joking. It's not going to be 7-0. Is it in München or in Leipzig?
Leipzig at home, yeah.
Okay, it's in Leipzig. Come on, Leipzig. Do it. Root for Leipzig. It's going to be like, it's still a Dave versus Goliath because Bayern München just in great shape. They're winning. They're playing. Granted, without Manuel Neuer, might be a big hit for them. But Bayern München doesn't seem to be damaged by much. They've lost Neuer before. It didn't bother them then. So I don't think it's going to bother them much now, Will they get a new goalkeeper in? I don't know. I don't think so. I think they're just going to stick with Sven Ulreich, right? I don't know who else they would.
And people had a pretty long break. I mean, the Premier League was so crazy how, basically
they went right back into it.
Went right back into it, and a lot of
I'll say the Bundesliga
players, but yeah, had a big break. Everybody should be pretty chill and ready to go.
Maybe too chill. I think the Bundesliga break was maybe a little too long.
It's too long. Yeah, I mean,
shouldn't they have started maybe last weekend or something, or 2 weekends ago?
It is wild. It's just regular winter break. It's been a long time for these teams. It's hard to. But if you're not, it's true. If you didn't play the World Cup, this is a long time off. So it's kind of. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this goes.
I wonder if that has an effect. I wonder if some of these games will look like preseason games, maybe. But not only are they playing this weekend, but then they're immediately playing on Tuesday and Wednesday. Like they're going for it. Like it's an Englische Woche right away. And that's why I'm like, just play this past weekend. You know what I mean? I'm like, just play this past weekend.
Yeah, so, interesting.
Who knows? I read somewhere that rumors around Royce coming to Leipzig, knowing Leipzig. I don't think they want Olga. What is the real story in Germany? Royce to Leipzig. Now that would be a freaking transfer of the century. I mean, I don't know where you got that rumor from, but Royce isn't going anywhere. Royce is hanging out in Dortmund. I mean, why would he go from Dortmund to Leipzig?
I have not heard that at all. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be crazy.
Royce open to joining Cristiano Ronaldo and Schalke Al Nassr. Free transfer.
Oh, he's going to.
That I believe more.
Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
That I believe more. I think when it comes to Germany, he's a Borussia Dortmund player. BVB. He has thwarted moves. I'm sure Bayern München has called him several times. And if you say no to Bayern München, why are you going to say yes to RB Leipzig?
Marco Reus and Ronaldo. My God. I mean, that's wild. All right.
Marco Reus is injured all the time.
I mean, Ronaldo's not long for this. Well, I don't know. That's interesting.
I would be surprised if Marco Reus goes anywhere. Saudi Arabia maybe makes sense because he can grab a lot of cash and go somewhere for fun before he retires.
His contract's up. I guess. Yeah, I guess
through the summer. Yeah.
He's not signing something else. He wants a little. I guess at this point in his career, he's not going to get a huge contract. But if he signs on a free, he'll get a little bonus. I think these are probably the last.
If my agent called me and said, "Where do you want to go in July?" the last country on my list would be Saudi Arabia. That's all I'm going to say.
Last week you were all about the checks.
What was I about?
Collecting the checks.
What for what's this for Aaron Long, you mean?
Yeah, for anyone. You were pro going to Saudi Arabia.
It's January now. It's not that hot.
All right, it's a different.
Talking about the heat. Talking about the heat.
Everything's changed.
What's hotter than Saudi Arabia in July? Saudi Arabia in August? It's hot. I want to go there.
Is Moukoko gonna sign for Dortmund? Is he gonna take the deal? Sebastian Kehl apparently has given an ultimatum. This is the offer, take it or leave it. Is he gonna take it? Is he gonna leave it?
I don't like that mentality. It's like Moukoko is your future, right? So maybe waltz with him a little bit. What's the deal? Is it like a pennies deal where he can easily get a better deal over at Bayern München? He'll probably go to Bayern München. Are they about to lose another one? Come on, Dortmund. Stop losing your players. Anyway, we got Tom Salzburg giving them a hard time 3 days back. Last minute 4-4 draw for most of 87 minutes. Salzburg 3, Bayern 1, but Leipzig.
Preseason.
I saw part of that game. The Bayern München Salzburg game was on YouTube. Here, it was free on YouTube. But you can't preseason's preseason. You
results, can't. Mean nothing. I don't know.
Landon Donovan was Bayern Munich's best player that preseason.
Preseason
when the league started,
for the players. Yeah, preseason is for the players and for everybody to. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm happy that Bochum lost. I think usually it goes the opposite. I feel like people. Watch out for the team. You can always feel the team is like, oh, we had a great preseason. We won all the Bet against them. You don't want a great preseason.
You don't want a great preseason.
I think that's. But we'll see.
Look at the gap. You want a mixed preseason is what you want. You want your players to get warm, sweaty a little bit, get some good make sure the legs are still good. You want it to be
shake the rust out. Let the kids shake their rust out.
All I want is a long scene. All I want is that volleyball scene from Top Gun. For 6 weeks, so get out the beach, get some sweat out, do it up, and then when the league starts, then they can start to care and start popping in. Okay, so I'm trying to think. We got a big Bundesliga. We got RB Leipzig going. It's like the WWE main event. The main event: RB Leipzig in Leipzig versus Bayern München. Freitag. Friday. 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 p.m. Pacific. I think it's on ESPN or ESPN2, ESPN Plus. Tune in. Let's see if Leipzig can pull one. Yeah, we'll see how rusty they are. Timo has played in the latest friendly. Really?
What?
Interesting. So this Timo thing is a little bit of a.
Tara has the info.
Well, she is a huge RB Leipzig fan. You are RB Leipzig consultant. Timo Vanna. News.
He's back.
Is he back? All this news are from 2 years ago.
Well, we'll find out on Friday. I didn't think he was out the whole year, but I had not checked on his.
Maybe it was calendar year, is what they were talking about.
Oh, interesting. The rest of the year, right.
This is my computer always.
Yeah, will be the rest of 2022. Yes, that was the calendar year. You're right.
Okay, got it. I guess I was confusing year with season.
Yeah, so he's so we trust Tara's reporting here that he was in the friendly, so he'll be back. That'll be exciting.
Very exciting. And like I said, can Timo Vanna get his groove back? You get Timo Vanna his groove back. I'm excited for Sesko arrival. All right. Who is Sesko? I'm gonna admit, I haven't been.
You're the Red
Bundesliga.
Bulls. You're the Red Bulls guy.
New York Red Bull guy. Let's see.
Yeah, well,
RB Leipzig.
it's all one big.
We don't get Sesko. We
big-
get. Here we go. Benjamin Sesko, a signing for the future. Benjamin Sesko to join RB Leipzig in 2020. RB Leipzig excited. Benjamin Sesko, 19-year-old from Salzburg, so from the brother. He was at Liefering, his youth Liefering is Austria's youth squad from Liefering. You go to Salzburg, from Salzburg go to Leipzig. I love the fact that New York Red Bulls is not part of that system. We've given you Tyler Adams, and that's about it. Sesko won the domestic double, top scorer in the Austrian Cup with 5-goal game. Seems like this Sesko is sort of the next man up when it comes to when Nkunku goes to Chelsea. Sesko's coming up.
Yeah.
Is
Tom
Sesko
says
he's Slovenian.
Tom said it was a terrible time for him at Chelsea. For Timo, he means, I think. I mean, is anyone having a good time at Chelsea right now? Nobody thought. Oh yeah, Paxton Aronson to Eintracht Frankfurt. Tom is bringing up.
Oh yeah, well,
I think that's going to be.
Right?
Yeah, he's gonna. I mean, there was a lot of chatter about him. I don't think. I think he's going to be on the first team. I don't know if he's going to start, but the expectations are high.
That's typical U.S. media, though. They're like, if you think
Brendan
Aronson's good,
no, this is from Germany. This is in Germany.
Okay, well, maybe they just copy and pasted the U.S. hype.
People, yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah, there's a lot of. We'll see.
Ernst Tyler reveals details of Paxton Aronson's move from the Union to Eintracht Frankfurt. Yeah, we'll see. I would love for him. That happens. Germany plays their kids, so. If Pax Aronson goes to Frankfurt, maybe he'll play. I'd love to. And maybe he is. Like, the U.S. soccer media has been doing this whole thing of you think Brendan Aronson's good? He's nothing compared to Paxton Aronson. I'm like, wait a minute. You mean this guy who plays week in and week out the Prem that is scoring goals and showing up is to be ignored because this Philly Union reserve player is doing pretty good over the reserve squad? It's like, let people play.
Let people be people.
Play. Let him play for a bit. Any thoughts about that? I used to draw his portrait a real bit after he left Chelsea. I felt like throwing it away. Oh, you mean Timo?
Timo.
Yeah. Tara, if you email us the portrait of Timo Werner, we will put it on. So I'd love to see it. I read in Ruhrnach something.
Ruhrnachrichten. That used to be the competing newspaper when I grew up. It was the Watz and the Ruhrnachrichten.
Oh, those were the
local. Well, I don't know. I mean, more local than that. But
we don't have time to discuss the New York Times article on the New York CFC Stadium. But there was a New York Times article.
Oh my God, that was a nonsense. That was a nonsense.
Save that for next time. Speaking of New York Times,
okay. Right.
We've already been on for an hour and a half. We got 3 viewers. Ron, I mean, I don't want to say goodbye. Do you have any other crazy things you want us to talk about? Otherwise, we'll let us say goodbye.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I think
no.
I think we've done it.
We're good. Tom, Tara, and perhaps someone else. We got 3 viewers. Some of the other viewers.
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us today. We love it when we get to talk and be interactive with other fans in the community. We got the Bundesliga. What other Bundesliga English language interactive YouTube show is there? Honestly,
there isn't. There isn't.
It's us, Schnitzel boys. Will RB Leipzig be able to topple a Neuer less? Bayern München? Will Timo Werner make his triumphant return? Friday. RB Leipzig versus Bayern München. And then there's other games as well over the weekend. Plenty. And everyone comes back into action. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, they play again. So it goes right into it. The Bundesliga is back, baby. Happy MLK
Yay!
Day.
Not a moment too soon. All right.
Good night.
Tschüss.